So, welcome all of you to the Arts for Life series, episode 5A. And it's a beautiful art, the art of harmonizing with others. And I just had a thought that harmonizing with others begins harmonizing with the self. So, we have with us a very eloquent and a very senior Rajyogi speaker with us, Brother Ken, all the way from Brazil. Thank you so much, Brother Ken, for joining. And he is not new to this audience, but as always, a few lines in his introduction. Brother Ken actually is an Australian, that's what we were speaking, but living in South America, fully gelled well with the entire Portuguese culture over there and speaks very good Portuguese. Into Brahma Kumaris since ages, I must say, almost 50 years now. And since 1975, so I'm right, it's exactly 50 years. He is a very great author, very keen on writing, and he's written 18 books on leadership and personal and organizational development. He's won many awards, and he has been a frequent guest speaker at many congresses and symposia held internationally and on various topics. And a fond topic close to his heart is self management. And he's the creator of that self management leadership and quality of life program, which we run in India through called SML very routinely, along with a few other authors. And with this, I would say that I mean, what brings me very close to Brother Ken is his humility, his loving nature, and always ever ready for our talks. Though he's traveling worldwide, we couldn't get his dates, but finally we could pin it down to this month. So thank you so much, Brother Ken, for joining. Thank you once again. I would request Sister Claudia to go ahead with the formal welcoming. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ken. We are on the same zone time, so it's
Almost.
very nice to be here today with you. I tell you, it's a pleasure to be to learn the art of harmonize with others. This is a real art, and you is a master of this art. I told everyone he's a master of the art of harmonize because you came away from Australia and you harmonize your sanskar so nicely. I don't think we ever saw you mad or upset or screaming or anything like that. You are always so cool. And so that means you really harmonize your sanskar. So we are looking forward to hear from you so we can learn how to harmonize our sanskars. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Claudia. Thanks, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are.
I
Claudia
one
was
thing I
oh, there's some flowers as well. Oh,
have some
yes.
flowers for you, all the way from Vancouver.
Yeah, your
You are
mic's not
mute.
on, Anu.
You are mute,
Your
Anu.
Yeah, she's muted. Yeah, now you're
There
okay.
you go. Yeah, we can't go without offering flowers to you, brother. Some seasonal flowers and roses from Vancouver. Welcome to our program. Welcome to Vancouver. Thank you, brother.
Wow. Thank you so much. I was this topic just before we came on air on live. Claudia was remembering this fact that I was born in Australia but I live in Brazil, and so there was obviously some cultural adjustment. But in fact, the difference between us culturally is very superficial. It's not really deep at all. Because if you see people wherever they are, they suffer in a similar way. They get happy in similar ways. They feel love in similar ways. They get upset in similar ways. So the deeper sanskar, as we say, the characteristics of the soul, the personality traits, they are superficial in some cases, but as we go deeper, we come to a sort of common territory amongst human beings, which we all have in common. We are all spiritual beings going through this human experience. And we all come from the same home, let's say, the world that is beyond here, that people call different names, heaven or nirvana or the land of peace, Shantidam. But we all are from the same place. We have the same origin, in a sense, as souls. And as we come down here, then we start to diversify for different reasons. Obviously, we become very different from each other because we have all been thinking and speaking and doing different things over our many births. And so obviously we'll be in different places, even different preferences, different likes, different dislikes, things that we prefer, things that we hate. These become different, and we start to divide ourselves up according to those preferences, whether they be religious or political or even the football team or cricket team that we support. These things will make us go to different places. We end up speaking different languages. We end up being in different cultures and places. So if we go back to the same origin, then we start to see what we have in common with everyone. But if we look at what we've become, there's a big distance. And this is probably where the whole thing of harmonizing starts. I've drawn here, if you can see it. These are two souls, one, two. And at the soul level, they look the same, very similar. But then let me just draw a few other things here. I'll put some other things in just to show you what I mean and what we're talking about. Let's say this green color is the mind, okay? It'll be different. We'll have different minds because we think differently. We have different ways we process emotions and so on. And let's say this blue color is our intellect. Let's say again, differences. You have two minds that function in different ways, two intellects that function in different ways. And finally, you'll have, let's say, this black color will be, let's say, the personality. You know, you've got one person who's like, his personality is more like a square, and the other one has a personality more like a triangle. This is a problem because these two individuals are trying to get along with each other, right? These are two different beings. They have different minds, different intellects, and different sets of personality traits. And they think, but why are you different? Why aren't you like me? Why do you react differently? It's so clear for me. Why can't you understand? And so you've got the triangular being, let's say the triangular personality, trying to harmonize with a square personality. And the triangle wants the square to be more triangular, and the square wants the triangle to be more square. And of course, it will never happen. The only way that they will harmonize is when they understand that behind the personality, behind the intellect, behind the mind, there is a soul similar to me. So I would even say like this black part includes our cultural It's very superficial. It could be from only one birth that I've been around in this part of the world, right? And so it's very superficial. So the triangle can't get along with the square because they're not triangle enough, and the square can't get along with the triangle because they're not square enough. And they both get upset with each other because any sort of friction is between the surfaces, you know. It's never between here and here. And very rarely do we connect up with someone at that level. Why are you different we get upset with something, but with someone, why? Because we're trying to imagine that they would think or feel or see things in the same way that I do. And it's never going to happen, you know. And this is, we can see very clearly, let's say, I look at the world through this lens, this tiny little lens here. I'm trying to understand things, and it's very limited because I can't see everything. Even physically, we only perceive 3% of the electromagnetic spectrum. We don't see 97% of the spectrum. So we can't see X-rays, we can't see gamma rays, we can't see uh, um, light until it is shining on something. We can't see electricity, we can't see magnetism, we can't see anything after before red and after violet. We can't see anything. So we are limited. I think dogs can hear better than we can, for sure. They can pick up more frequencies than we can. So we're very limited, even physically. We see a little bit of things. I think that flies have 1,000 eyes. So that's why when you try to swat a fly, they already can see your hand coming. You know, we think that our hand is going very fast, but the fly is watching everything in slow motion. And so they just fly off. So we can't do a lot of things. We can't pick up vibrations, for example. So physically we are limited, but even we are limited not just by how much our eyes and ears and so on can pick up. We are limited by our own perception because I box myself in within my belief system, within my cultural preferences, maybe my gender definition. All of those things make a little box called the ego. And let's say I put that box on my eyes, on my vision, and that's what I see. I can only see that much. I can't see more. I can't see more. And so there I am with someone with my limited perception of things. And the other one has a different angle, right? A different optical spectrum, seeing this much. I can only see this much. He can only see that much. And so we're trying to harmonize our perceptions, and it won't happen because I'm looking at things like this and I'm saying, why can't you understand it? Like, it's so clear. And the other one saying, no, I can't see it at all. Because they're looking at different things. They're seeing different things because their perspective is different. If you sit down and you look up, you'll see one thing. But if you're up there and you're looking down, you'll see that it's the same thing. It didn't change, but your perspective is different. And it's not only physical, but let's say when I have a small amount of self-esteem and I look at a big problem, it's huge. But if I have a huge amount of self-esteem, the same thing is smaller than me. So I'll see more. And all of us, without exception, we need to open our perception more so that we can see more, we can understand more, and then we can decide better. If I narrow my vision due to beliefs, due to gender, due to different qualification, due to education, due to How does a fisherman see a river? How does a geography, a topologist see a river? How does an architect see a building? How does a bricklayer see a building? How does a person shining shoes look at shoes? And how does a shoemaker look at shoes? We have different perspectives, and therefore we'll have different considerations. We'll have different things that we see are as important. We will give importance to different things. And harmonizing it is try to see what we have in common, try to see what we have in common in spite of the differences. I mean, this is the rule number one. There are other rules, and just I'll get into that, because the ability to harmonize with others is really a beautiful thing if we can do it, because it depends on empathy. It depends on, as I said, our awareness, our perception, our perspective. It depends on our ability to communicate in the real sense of the word communicate, because even that means in Latin, communicare, that's what it is in Latin. The main part of the word is commun, which means common. So commun means common. Communicare means establish what I have in common with someone. If I don't do that, I won't communicate. What do I have in common with the person I'm talking to? We are souls, we are children of God. In our essence, we are peaceful, loving, happy, content beings. That's what we have in common. We are spiritual beings going through this human experience. We've had many births on this world, for example. You can't really say who's more experienced than anyone else because of these differences. But if I see what I have in common, then I have a bridge to communicate with the person. And then if I have that bridge, then harmonizing is easy. If I don't make the effort, this is why I said communication has to be intentional. That means I have to understand what's behind it. And I have to reach the person. In a way, life is made up of different relationships, the whole of life. And in a way, they are connected with each other. So, for example, my relationship with myself and my relationship with others, they are, in a way, dependent on each other. If I understand myself more, then I will have a tendency to be more humble and more forgiving, because I can understand my own shortcomings, and I can be humble about it. I don't know everything. I just know a few things. And the other person in front of me also knows a few things. So let's share about what we know. There's also the relationship with the community, because if I have a good relationship with myself and the others who are close to me, then I can make an effective contribution to the community in which I live. And so these three relationships are connected: me with myself, me with others, me with the community around me. And there's a couple of more basic ones. My relationship with matter or nature, starting with my own body, how I treat the cells of my body, right? How I treat the atoms that make up my body. An average body has 50 trillion cells, which is quite a lot, and each cell has 100 trillion atoms. So can you imagine how many atoms are in the body? And they're not the same ones. Every time I breathe, I'm doing exchange with oxygen and carbon and so on. Carbon dioxide coming out, oxygen coming in. Every time I go to the bathroom, there's also an exchange. Every time I eat, there's an exchange. So Even my ability to speak depends on how well I use my throat. And since it's very cold here, I've got a little bit of a throat problem. But even the relationship with the body affects my relationship with others because I need to speak, I need to interact, I need to be able to move. And there's a relationship even more fundamental, perhaps, my relationship with time, how I use time, time and space and so on. But the foundational relationship is my relationship with God. So if that one's okay, which is the foundation, and it's solid because God is stable, doesn't change. If my foundation is in God, then I have a tendency to be more stable. If I'm more stable, I'll have a better relationship with myself. It won't be so up and down. It'll be more measured. My relationship with others will tend to be more easy to get along with others because I'm okay with myself. Living in the community won't be a problem, and dealing with matter won't be a problem. And my use of time will be better organized. But that all starts with this foundational relationship with God. But often this thing that I showed you before, this difficulty of getting along with someone because there are so many differences. Let's say I have a timid personality. Using that example that I gave, I'm timid by nature. I'm very shy by nature. I'm very quiet and introspective. And I have to live with someone who's aggressive. And that is the difficulty that I have with an aggressive person, more extroverted person, more assertive person, and I'm timid and introspective and quiet, that he will have more of the same difficulty with me as I have with him. He'll be saying, why aren't you a little bit stronger? Why aren't you a little bit more forthright and assertive? Why are you so stupid? And I'm thinking, but why are you so aggressive? Why are you so loud? So it's not that harmonizing with someone, let's say I'm the timid person, I have to get along with someone who's aggressive. And that aggressive person he doesn't believe that he's aggressive, but he thinks that he's assertive and strong and forthright and truthful. Okay. The adjustment will not ever be between my timidity and that person's aggressiveness or his effort to harmonize will be to try to match his aggressive nature with my timid nature. No, because harmony will never be between defects, will never be between that sort of thing. Harmony will always between the qualities, the deep qualities of the soul. And we have similar deep qualities. In the depth of the soul, there is peace, there is love, there is happiness, there is power, even strength, there's wisdom. So we both have these deep qualities. Harmony will be between qualities of the soul rather than a sort of game between personality traits. This is a very deep question because it leads us to understand and find sense in the let's say the tips that we could use to really harmonize with others. And I've got here 5 steps that based on what I've just said, 5 steps that can really help us find rhythm, let's say, and harmony with the people around us. So first one, because we are similar souls. I'm not going to use this clipboard anymore. Just these ideas. One soul here, one soul here. Both of them are surrounded by a different mind, different intellects, and different personality traits, right? So between one and the other, there's a lot of stuff. There are two minds, there are two intellects, and there are two sets of personality traits. So there are 6 different combinations, if you like. But it could be between I'm upset with the personality of the other. So it's what I'm thinking. My mind doesn't get along with the personality of the other. My intellect, I can't work it out. I can't understand how it is that they are like that. Especially people living together have the same water, the same food, sometimes the same timetable, but so different because the pasts are different. Pasts are different. Where this one was before this life, we don't know. Where this other one was before this life, we don't know. And they sort of went here and there and here and there, and suddenly they are together. And these differences make a sort of a tangle, and they can't get along with each other until they sort of are able to separate themselves away from the I would say the static, the noise, different personality traits, different preferences, different ideas, different memories, different traumas even. They're trying to get along with each other, but they'll never be able to do that unless they can separate themselves from their own stuff and also separate their perception from the other person's stuff. And this is the basis of being able to listen deeply, which is the first key step to harmonize, to listen deeply, to listen without judgment, to truly hear what others are saying, and not just the words, what's behind their tone, their body language, their emotion, what's there behind all of that? There's this soul trying to emanate its qualities. So if you show that you are understanding where people are coming from, it's a big first step. If you show that you're not open to the other person, you won't have communication. You'll have 2 monologues, right? This one's talking, the other one's talking, but the communication doesn't happen because neither one is making the effort to understand what's behind what others are saying. This is interesting. I saw the other day the Chinese character for active listening, or actually presence, active listening for sure. It's a very descriptive character because there are 6 parts in it. In the character, I don't have it here with me to show you what it's like. Anyway, you wouldn't understand if you don't understand Chinese. But one part of it means eyes. That means when you're actively listening to someone, you're looking at them. So eyes are there in the character. Ears are there, of course, if you're listening, ears have to be there. And there's a line that connects the two, right? Me and the other person, right? There's also the heart in the character. There's also something that means attention. So you've got eyes, ears, heart, the connection and attention. And finally, there's a part of it which shows respect, that you are listening to the other person as if they are king. So there's part of the character that means king. So just that character means using your eyes, your ears, and your heart with attention in the connection with someone while you're treating them and seeing them as a king. All of that in one character. If you make that effort, first of all, your vision is penetrating all of the static between you, the 2 minds, the 2 intellects, and the 2 sets of personalities. Your perception is going through all of that, penetrating all of that. So going from the soul that is you, reaching the other soul that is in the other person and making that connection, of course, everything else will start to work better. And so you're listening deeply and seeing deeply without judgment because you're not paying attention to all of this stuff. Or actually, you see it, but it doesn't matter, that person. So what? You're thinking that person is, oh, what a difficult person. What a difficult person. How can I get along with this difficult person? But the truth is, the person's just different, not difficult. Different. The second step, so you're making this effort to listen deeply and to take what's behind, what does this soul really want? After all, that soul wants love, wants understanding, wants to be understood. That's about it. So if I can show that I've understood, and I'm at the same time respecting the differences, whether they are cultural differences, whether they are different values that people appreciate, these personality traits, which obviously are going to be different. Well, I can acknowledge and appreciate those differences. If I can do that, I can put the person at ease. I can prevent conflict, and I start to build trust. Harmony does not mean to homogenize, does not mean to make everything the same. It means to be able to move in synchronicity despite differences. So if you can identify yourself as a soul and you can identify the soul behind all of their stuff, then you can move together sort of more in sync, and even in spite of these differences, right? So that's the first step, was to listen deeply without judgment. The second one is to show respect in spite of the differences. If you show any disrespect, it's like throwing some salt on a wound, because the person may be conscious of what's missing in their personality or in their efforts, and it will be a sensitive point to them. And so if you show disrespect for that particular thing, then it's like throwing salt on a wound, and it will hurt the person. So if you're trying to harmonize with someone, you can't be hurting them at the same time, basically. The third thing is to, from your side, from my side, let's say, I have to communicate clearly. I have to communicate not just clearly, but kindly. So that means that I have to learn to express my thoughts and my feelings with honesty and compassion. And you can check your language here. If you use I statements, I feel, I think, I understood this when you did such and such. I think it's the basis of nonviolent communication is to what is it that I feel, instead of using the language like you always do this, you always do that. Every time is like this. How many hundreds of times do I have to tell you? That sort of language is an exaggeration from your part, but it is also not completely honest, because you actually just tried to talk to the person a few times, not 100 times. Actually, you never have understood your own feelings towards the person, even towards yourself related to that particular thing. So you can't be categorical. You always do this. Why do you always say like that? Why does this always happen? It's a problem that you have with yourself and not with the other person, in fact. You are upset with your own intolerance rather than how. It's such a stupid statement, isn't it? I can't stand the way that you are unable to tolerate. I can't stand someone who's intolerant. Wait a minute. You get upset with someone who's angry. Wait a minute. Upset is anger also, right? So we have to stop being hypocrites when we talk about our feelings towards others. Of course, the other thing is that we have to adapt and be flexible. Why? Because we're living with people who think and feel and act differently, and people aren't always predictable. You expect someone to be in a good mood all the time? Won't happen. You expect people to respect you all the time, and you don't even respect yourself all the time. So we are not predictable human beings. There are too many factors involved. There are too many variables that make up for the complexity that is our lives. And as complexity grows, unpredictability also grows. And it's, being able to adjust tone and behavior and expectations will keep the peace, really. If I really try to keep an even tone and even behavior and, diminish my expectations, and that will keep the peace and will keep the connection intact. Expectation definitely disturbs harmony because it's not real. It's not real. I expect you to behave in a certain way when you're not able to even guarantee your own behavior. Do you know what your mood will be at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning? No. Do you know how you will feel when you wake up? No. Let's say you know that you're going to have a hard day on Monday, but don't expect others to understand that you're going to have a hard day because they're probably also going to have a hard day themselves. So this trying to blend our expectations in relationships does not tend to keep the peace. Actually, trying to blend expectations does keep the peace. When we're not aware of them, they disturb so much. So, fourth step is to adapt and be flexible and tone down your expectations. The fifth step, I would say, is practice what you understand. Spiritual knowledge, for example, gives us an incredible foundation to understand how life works, and especially how relationships work. And if my relationship with myself is not okay, it will affect everything else. If my relationship with God is not okay, it will affect everything else. If my relationship with others is not okay, it will affect everything else. They all affect each other. If my relationship with matter is not okay, it will end up affecting things too, because it will affect my health. And that will affect relationships. And if my relationship with time is not okay, I'm not able to be punctual, for example. I'm not able to prioritize very well. I procrastinate a lot. That's a bad relationship with time, in a sense. And it will affect relationships. It will affect your harmony. If you procrastinate and you believe that and you're working together with others and you're doing things that others are depending on, and there you are procrastinating and you expect to keep the harmony, it won't happen. So I have to practice what I understand, especially patience. Patience is, and together with patience, forgiveness, because mistakes and misunderstandings will happen. Don't think that everything's going to be perfect all the time. So letting go of any grudges and allowing space for growth will create a sustainable sort of relationship or bond. So harmonizing with others isn't about losing yourself. just admitting who you are does not mean that. It means to show your best self and show that in your relationship with others and the world around you. And that's what harmonizing is. And just to finish off an example, because for a long time, I was very much dedicated to music. In fact, I thought I would have been a musician because I was really dedicated to composing music and playing music. And in that there are what's called in a beautiful song, there's a background, which is actually called the harmony. There's some background, like some background chords to a song, which together produces a sort of a harmonious underpinning of what's going on. And then there's a melody. And the melody is like the up and down. So the harmony is like very simple. Harmony is very simple. But the melody it could be quite complicated. But unless there's harmony, you won't have melody either. So we need both. We need to have beautiful music in our lives, but we also need to have a good background for that to happen. So don't think that you're going to lose anything by making the effort to harmonize. You won't. You're just trying to create a background for everything that happens so that the interactions would be like the melody. But the harmony has to be there first in order for the melody to be put on. So generally, when you, especially if you're the same one, you're alone and you're doing a song, and this is what I've done myself. You play the chords as a guitar. You play the chords, and you leave it there recorded, and then you come in with the solos on top of what's already there. You can't do the solo without the background. In other words, the basic chords. So the basic chords for harmony in our lives are peace, love, happiness, wisdom, purity. Basic things. If those things are there, then we can really create great and beautiful interactions with others. Okay, that's what I wanted to share. I hope I don't know if I was clear enough, but with the limited resources.
It was fantastic and very simple, and you started with a very powerful diagrammatic representation. So it was fantastic. And the 5 basic tips, the 5 basic rules. So a question comes about, you spoke a lot about relationships. So the question is how to really develop a win-win situation in any relationship.
Yeah. Don't try to win. Try to help the other person win.
Right. So
Then,
fantastic. It
basically, those
resounds.
5 things will be there. But if you are genuinely not interested in having the last word and having your ideas be accepted by the other person, who will have naturally their own ideas, his ideas are like this and my ideas are like that, they won't meet. So let the person, don't try to be so emphatic about what you believe. Listen first and then speak. Don't speak and speak and speak. Let the other person win and let the other person get clear. And if they're not clear, you can ask them, what are you trying to say? Let me understand what you're trying to say. Are you saying this and this and this? And the person says yes. But then you've said so many things, but of all of these things, which is the most important thing, do you believe? So you start to limit, you start to create focus in the conversation, and the other person is getting his idea across. And when they've got their idea completely clear, then you can start the comment. And then both of you will grow. Don't listen to the idea. Don't disagree. Try to understand the idea. Make corrections on the idea from your perspective, and then give a few of your own ideas, and both of you will win.
Yes, and as you rightly said, it reminds me here of our previous administrative head, Dadi Prakash Mani. I'm sure you know that, what she used to say, Har Mani, which means in Hindi we say Har Manna, which means to accept defeat and let the other person win. Maybe that is the way to develop a win-win situation
That's
and
it.
for harmony. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, the second question a parent is asking that is it not right to expect that my kid, my child, would be a little bit similar to me or my spouse, particularly an adolescent kid? So can't we expect at least something from them? Because adolescence is a very tough phase to go through. So it's about adolescence and harmonizing with them.
Just think that your kids are like plants. Plants need to be cultivated. They need to have a healthy growing environment. They will become whatever is in them. And the real education is to develop something that's already there and bring it out. That's in Latin, one of the roots of educated, educere, which means to bring out. So parents should be on the lookout for potential that could be brought out and could be developed. So they are plants. And I can't say, imagine standing in front of a plant and screaming at the plant, grow, you idiot, grow, grow, come on, grow. And you're not giving any water, you're not giving any sunlight, you're not giving any good fertilizer and so on. You won't grow. So if you are sensible, you'll provide good growing conditions around your children, and not expectation would be sometimes counterproductive. Let's say in the essence of that individual, there is an artist, and both parents are doctors, and they want the son or the daughter to become a doctor. But that particular soul is an artist, a painter or a singer. If you're trying to insist on what you want, you'll never give the person a chance to become what they want. Actually, we all should become what we already are, but we have to give the chance to the children and to the adolescents like that. The other thing is, okay, that's as far as, let's say, career and life choices are involved. But the other thing is that if you want to influence in a positive way your children, you have to create a positive environment. Basically, that's the rule. So you can't expect them. If you want to, let's say you are basically a loving person, but you don't show that love, how are they going to pick it up? So you have to create a positive living space in which people become what the best they can be. That's it. There's no other rule. That's it. If parents were like that, there'll be much less sorrow in the home.
Yes, so let me be the change and let me create the environment. That's the key message. Right. A question this addresses the basis of Raj Yoga. I think it's a beginner in meditation. So the question is that I'm not able to convince myself and tell me what is the proof of 84 births. I mean, I can understand 5,000 years to some extent, Christianity 3,000 and something AD BC that way. But 84 births is difficult to digest. So can you give us proof of 84 births? How do we convince someone?
Don't think about. For me, let me be quite honest. Doesn't matter if they're 80, 10, or 15, 20, 30, it doesn't matter. What matters is how am I now with the people around me? If I create a positive present, I don't need to worry about the future or the past. I know that there's been a long past, and I know that there'll be a long future. Exactly how that is doesn't concern me, except to the extent that I'm using my time properly now. So if it's a cycle, if it's a square, if it's a line, if it's a spiral, it doesn't matter. How I treat myself, how I treat others, how I get along with the world around me, how I relate to God, that is what is more important than counting. Don't count. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything.
Right. So counting doesn't matter. Just play your part. Thanks. And I'll take this last question in the interest of time. It's a very sensitive question, that how to let go of abusive relationships despite practicing patience and forgiveness for many years. The abuser is not letting go and is not letting also to be at peace himself and myself as well. So abusive relationships.
It's a habit. Relationships have become abusive. It's a habit from both sides. One is submissive and the other is aggressive. So the submissive one permits the aggressive one to continue, and the aggressive one thinks that he or she can continue in spite of how the other one feels. So first step, don't see that person as aggressive. See that person as a sufferer. That soul is very frustrated with themselves, and be more compassionate. Don't have that forced sort of patience that, in spite of the behavior, I have to be patient. I have to be patient. No, there shouldn't be any force. Before patience, have compassion and understanding. There's a soul there that's suffering for any reason. And in your meditation, there are two things that you can do in your meditation. You can create the best image of that person possible, that every time you think of them, that's the image that comes to mind. That will start to break down. And we learn here that if one hand wants to clap, the other one also has to clap back. But if you pull your hand away, you're not there. So you can either run away from the relationship, but it does not guarantee that you'll be free from that sort of thing, because you probably meet someone else who abuses you as well. Secondly, have a good vision and self-respect for yourself, to the extent that that is more powerful. Don't see yourself as a victim. If you see yourself as a victim, your self-respect has gone down. See yourself as a soul who God loves, and so on. And third thing, if you have any influence at all, try to influence through the cooking, because if you cooking the food in the house, or you can have influence, then you can put the best vibrations into that food as well. So that food affects the mind of the other. Your perception of them at a higher level will affect them, and your reaction will affect them. Those three things. Otherwise, if it continues, probably most people end up moving away from that sort of behavior. But before you move away, change your attitude. It's much less expensive. Okay.
Fantastic. That was very practical, those three tips, and the last one as well, but change your attitude. That's fantastic. So, thank you so much for your fantastic deliberation on the art of harmonizing. And I would now request Sister Claudia to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you. Thank you.
Don't we have meditation
Yes.
right there?
Yes, we are going to have after.
Okay.
Yes. But before we finish, I would just like to say it was like Brother Manoj said, it was fantastic. And I am sure that we learned a lot. I like that point when you said the harmony is to be sensible, but the melody that we have to play, because I was also playing piano quite high and then studying quite a bit. So I know the harmonies of the sound of the music is there, but the melody has to be very easy, very sensible. So and it's a little bit more complicated, but when we learn, that's easier. So that was a quite nice way to say, and also those tips that you gave. I'm sure that everybody is going to go back and look into the tips, and like myself too, to see where is the one that I need to improve and then harmonize myself with myself first, because if we don't have harmony with others, we can never be happy. That's the main point. So thank you very much, Ken. It was very appreciated by everyone, and I'm hoping that we can see you again sometime in the future. Thank
Sure.
you.
Great to be with you all.
I think we'll just take up the announcement quickly before the last meditation with Brother Ken. So it was really a very, very wonderful session. We can go back and really look at it to take up for ourselves. And as the pattern of this series is, for the same topic, the art of harmonizing with others, we'll have the inner reflections. So we'll go deeper with Sister Deborah next week, Saturday, 12th of July, same time. So please join us then. And then following, we'll have workshop that also experiential exercises further gives us opportunity to understand and internalize this particular art. Just a quick announcement, the Values for Life series, the books are still in preparation. If you want a copy for yourself, please send us an email to valuesforlifeseries@gmail.com. And write to us for any other comment. You can find all the videos, including today's, on our actually Brahma Kumaris Vancouver YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone. And I think we don't want to miss to take the photo. So you can please switch on your camera, that we make this moment memorable. Okay. There's still time. If anyone wants to be with Brother Ken, open your video now. Thank you everyone. I'll hand it over to Brother Ken to take us through a meditation.
How long do we have?
5 minutes is okay. Yeah, 5 minutes meditation.
Okay. Sit nicely. Just become aware of these two worlds, the one outside of us, a big one and a noisy one, movement and sound and form and colors, happenings. There's a big world. And then there's the inner world where I'm just with myself and my own thoughts and feelings. So let's look within. First of all, I see past my own personality traits. There's a lot of stuff there that I've built up over many births. That's not me. That's what I've become. Also, the intellect, the way that it works. In the beginning, it didn't work like it does now. It's got so much to do now, but in the beginning, it was very still. Didn't have anything to work out or to understand. And the mind also was very quiet, very, very pure, with little happening. So how is my mind in the beginning? How is my intellect in the beginning? How is my personality? And I have a better idea of who I really am. This is me. This is the real me. This is the real me, close to the home and close to God. So let me remember how I am in the beginning and where I am in the beginning. I'm in the dimension of light. I'm just bathing in the rays of God. No thoughts even, no feelings, pure qualities. That's it, nothing to decide, nothing to do. Very different from the present personality and mind and intellect that I've become. Just the seed of that, actually. I'm the seed. So remember, I am the seed of what I've become. And I'm very close to the one whom we call God. Very close. Actually, no distance. No distance. So how am I if I have if there's no distance between me and God? How am I? Very similar. Peaceful, loveful, wise, content, powerful, light. So with those thoughts and feelings, and with the comfort of knowing we can recall those thoughts and feelings whenever we want, let's come back to our respective days. Okay. Om Shanti.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Brother Ken. Thanks
Bye.
again. See you.
Take care, everyone. Have a good